Welcome back to another great episode of Comedians in Bed. And as always, I have another great guest here with me today. And this is a place where comedians can be comedians. I still don't know what that means, but it just sounds like something you should say on a podcast. As always, got another great guest here for us today, man. He is very funny. He is very hilarious. I got a chance to see him at the comedy store a couple weeks ago on Crack 'em Up Thursdays, and I just was in awe of his performance. Is my first time seeing him. Is my first time hearing about him. But I'm pretty sure if you're tuned in right now, this isn't your first time seeing or hearing him. And I'm so glad that we have him on here today. Please give it up for the very funny and the very talented Ron Taylor, everybody. Ron, what's going on, man? How you feeling today?
Yeah, my man. Look, appreciate that, brother. I'm feeling good. I'm blessed. I'm alive. That's half the battle right there. Hell, that's more than half the battle.
Yeah, yeah, it
it's
is.
just being
I was,
alive, man.
yeah.
I thank you for having me on. I tell you what, if I knew or had paid attention to the fact that this was comedians in bed, probably would not have showed up for the podcast, man. It's a very Diddy esque title, you know what I'm saying? But hey, I rock with you, so I rock with it.
Hey, I don't got enough money to know.
That's
So
that is very that's very suggestive, man. And it's like I didn't even know I was supposed to have a bed by me. I mean, we in chairs, brother. It could have been comedians in chairs, comedians through the internet, comedians on camera. Nope, comedians in bed. Hey, whatever you say, brother.
hey, man, some people sleep in chairs. You know what I
I'm with
mean?
it.
Like you got the recliner chair.
You see, that's the issue right there. You worried about how people sleeping, man. What about us talking? You see, it's not about how or where or when I slumber. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be around you while you sleep because that means you getting very important rest. And if you're around me while I'm asleep, somebody didn't do their job, brother. Something's not going right.
Hey, man, Ron Taylor, everybody, man. So,
Well,
are
I
you from
think either way.
are you from Detroit?
Yeah, man. Born and raised Detroit, Michigan. West side of Detroit for the people that know. West side of Detroit, and yeah, man. Every Detroit is everything you've heard, and everything you haven't heard. But that's most black cities. I done been around the country enough times to pretty much know that like every black, urban. I'm not even gonna call it ghetto. Urban place. People die every day over silly stuff, and also like the most beautiful, loving things and people and culture that you're gonna see, that you're gonna get, also exist there. So the worst of the worst oftentimes produces people with like a well-rounded perspective on things. And when you find yourself in a place where you can, I don't want to say just monetize, but like take advantage of that well-rounded perspective, people tend to appreciate it, man.
Yeah, yeah. I was asking because I wanted to know, are you a Wolverines fan? Please tell me no.
That's funny. I'm a and see, nobody even know about this school. I'm a W fan. That's the school I went to, Wayne State. Our mascot was the W, which what the hell is that? What is the W? As in the letter? Yep, we're the W's. We had like a mascot that would dress up, but it was like a lizard or some shit, and it's like
Yeah.
I guess that's a W, but Wolverines, Spartans, I don't care about that. That's not even in Detroit. That's the thing. Like, yo, that's Lansing and Ann Arbor. I went to a
Yeah.
Detroit college. Okay, so I can't tell you about no Wolverines and all that stuff.
Oh, that's good, man. I know I could have an honest conversation with you. How was growing up in Detroit? It looks totally different now. I know a couple people that from Detroit, and I've been up there a couple times. It looked totally different now from probably the last time you left. How was growing up
Mhm.
in Detroit?
It was cool, man. Like I kind of touched on earlier, just having two opposing extremes of just like, crazy ratchetness, but still like crazy good stuff. And personally, like I think is very interesting growing up in Detroit, and not even just Detroit, but Michigan, period, because like just geographically, Michigan is a special place. It's a peninsula that's covered in fresh water. Like there really is no other state like that. Like you could have beachfront property and spend like what, man, maybe $600,000 or something like that. I mean, I'm just making that number up. I've never bought a house, but if you want beachfront property here, it's gonna cost you an arm and a leg. Like
Yeah,
you can literally live in Detroit and in 15 minutes be in another country. We have a bridge going to Canada. So it's just really interesting like that. Obviously, you got Motown, so you have the remnants of like rich and famous people having lived there. You know what I'm saying? Like music from the 50s and 60s is like that's Detroit made. I always say this, what people don't want to give us credit for, but if you like Michael Jackson, you're welcome. We signed them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Detroit. You like driving? You're welcome. Henry Ford, mass produced cars, like, is a very important city that kind of, I don't want to say been forgotten about, but it's just like anything else. It come and goes in waves. And, Detroit had its ups and its downs and stuff like that. But it was cool growing up in that and seeing what it is now. I mean, they call it gentrification, which I mean, I guess it is, but even that is a cycle. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is pretty racist, but there's some truth to this. It's like, stuff is ghetto. Then white people come in, they turn it white, but then there's no culture. So then they either leave or let, ghetto people in. And then the ghetto people turn what was gentrified into the ghetto. And then the cycle restarts. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just is what it is. So like right now, downtown Detroit, there's like Starbucks, and like North Face and stuff like that. It used to be gas stations in Al Wasan, which was just like some black, not black, but a Detroit coat. You know what I'm saying? And nothing was
yeah.
wrong with that. It's just that that run had its cycle, and now it's time for the Starbucks cycle, and then after that's done, well, there'll be Leroy and Tony's coffee shop, and then that'll have its cycle, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah,
But
man. I
fun
don't know.
is the short answer to your question. It was fun.
It's weird seeing Detroit where it is now because like growing up in Ohio, like everybody like that was like our nearest biggest city. Like of course New York City isn't too far away, but
Mhm.
Detroit was only like 3 hours. So everybody would just go up, to Detroit and have fun. But now if you want to have some fun, the nearest city would probably be the nearest biggest city would probably be like Chicago or anything like that. So it is a very different dynamic. You leaving Detroit to go to LA, what was the reason for that? Was it strictly for comedy or was it for other things?
No, for the most part, it was just for comedy, man, or just entertainment. My career as a whole, and I used to say or use this example, if you will, like some people saying, "Oh, you ain't got to move from Detroit, you ain't got to go to New York, you ain't got to go to LA," and it's like that's cool, but hold up, what the hell? Oh snap! Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, something popped up, and anyway, but it's like you don't have to go to New York, you don't have to go to LA, and like that's cool, that's true, but it's kind of like if you're trying to be an ultimate surfer, right? You go where the waves are. Do you have to? No, I mean I guess not. There's probably ways you can practice this. It's probably some indoor wave pool, or I mean, shit, I don't know. I've seen something on Instagram where like there's these brushes that just roll and it like creates the vibe of a wave. Sure, if you want to go, if you want to be a surfer, you go where the waves are. You want to be a skier, you go where the snow is. You know, you want to make movies, you go where they making movies at. You know,
Mm.
so I guess for me at the time when I left, I was like what 24, I think. You know, I didn't have no real bills. I didn't have no significant other. I ain't have no kids. I ain't had no property that I owned in Detroit. Stay there for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something I heard Minister Louis Farrakhan say. It was like, you let these people tell no, that's ridiculous. Africa is your home. Earth is your home. And you know, I kind of think about that, like, you know, Detroit, LA, Istanbul, wherever I go, that's my home. So, you know, I'm just
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
different rooms at
yeah.
the house, you
When
know?
you first moved to LA, were you living in a van?
Yeah, man. Heck yeah. It was wonderful. I'd be living in it right
How
now, but they stole it. Yeah, man.
for
They
real? They
stole
really
my
stole it?
van, dog.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
the
ask
city
because
stole
like
it.
when you be in LA, like y'all can really just park there, and I be seeing vans. I know people live in them. So like, how long are you allowed to like have your van on the side of the road?
That's funny. That's like, how long are you able to cheat on your girl? For as long as you can get away with it, you know. Like, if you're cunning, you can do it forever. You can do it to the end of time. My thing was, I went back to Detroit. I was taking like a little break or a little hiatus from comedy, and I had gave my van to my buddy to watch. He go out of town. He come back. He like, oh, your van gone. Of course it is. You left, but my tags was bad. They was bad for like 2 years, so you know
Yeah,
they just took it. But it's like it. You know, the only reason, well, one of the main reasons I ain't angry at him or I couldn't get angry at him is because he was doing me a favor. You know, like ain't like I paid him to watch my van, but it also was just like, yo, you know, like you're not watching it if you're not there. You could have told somebody else or told me. Maybe I would have, but you know, hey, God don't make no mistakes. The van gone now. I ain't tripping.
yeah. How was that early grind going, moving to LA, chasing mics, getting on shows, making your dreams come true, and living in a van? It's humble beginnings. So how was Ron during those humble beginnings?
I mean, I was good, man. You know, even then, even then, I remember like explaining to people like this. Let's say there's two different ways to find yourself in a van. Like you can end up having to live in a van, or you can choose to live in a van. I chose to live in a van. Like I was doing what they call hashtag van life before it was really a hashtag. Like I was always in the camping and tiny houses and living in trailers and stuff like that. So it was kind of an adventure for me. It's like it's not like I couldn't have got a job and got an apartment or anything like that. Which I mean, eventually I did do that, you know.
Yeah,
But even after having like my first apartment, after that I went back to the van, you know. Then I got another apartment. After that I went back to the van, you know. So it was just good to have something to where like I didn't ever have to do anything. Now I will say, as I got older and started getting into different stuff, and you know, hey, life will take you for a ride. You know what I'm saying? It was like that van was, I can't say the van was enabling me, but I was able to like mess around because I had a van. Like, all right, I don't have to pay rent. You know what I'm saying? I don't really have to be anywhere. Anywhere I drive, I can just live there. And you know, you exist long enough with no roots, and like you find yourself not being able to build nothing because you ain't got no foundation. So I ran
yeah,
into that, but you know, overall, it was cool, man. You know, like I just decided when I was in Detroit, I was like, I want to go to LA and live there. I didn't have to save up. I didn't have to transfer no job. I just drove and I was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sound like you betted on yourself, and then ultimately, I mean, in my opinion, you're winning right now. I mean, you're a regular at the Comedy Store. When that moment happened and you got your name on the wall, how did you feel knowing that you came from Detroit with a dollar and a dream? You lived in a van. Now you're got your name on the most popular comedy club in the world.
I don't know how much of it I thought in that manner. You know what I'm saying? Now that you say it out loud, it's like, oh yeah, that is kind of dope. But for me, no, I take that back. There was a little bit of that I thought, because it's like when I came to LA, even to some degree, right now, still, like even though I'm in like a house and all that stuff, but it's like even still, it's kind of felt like a long sleepover. You know what I'm saying? Like imagine today you go, I don't know, to your buddy's house and then you never go back home. And then you end up having a whole life. You start dating girls, breaking up, getting jobs, getting fired, quitting, and it's like you hadn't really intended on living this entire life. Somebody just was like, hey, let's go to Walmart real quick. And now you got this whole different life. So that side of it has been kind of wild to me that like, yo, I just drove from LA, or not LA, but just drove from Detroit and fast forward, I'm on TV now. You know what I'm saying? But I did a lot of that stuff just off sheer talent, and just being God blessed. So there's people who have done way more with way less. Now obviously I've probably done way more with way less than this person or that person, but that keeps things into perspective for me. Just like I'm not completely behind the eight ball. I ain't in front of everybody. I'm where I'm at, and I appreciate, just being on this personal journey. You know what I'm saying?
So I would assume that you're not exactly where you want to be yet as far as like a comedian, but you're still on the journey. So you're not like an open micer, you're a regular. How are you enjoying the journey where you're at right now with the journey?
Well, you know what? That's an interesting way to phrase that. Not being where I want to be. I don't think it's a matter of not being where I want to be. If I'm not where I want to be, it's essentially got nothing to do with my career. It'd be more so just like places in life, like just mentally or my spirit or something like that. But like, I guess the way I could put it is like, I'm not married right now. Would I like to be? Yes. Am I waiting to be married? Not really. It's just kind of a thing I haven't done yet. But I don't ever feel like, uh, I can't get married. You know what I'm saying? Like, aside from money, if you will, like it'd be wonderful to be Kevin Hart. I use Kevin Hart just because he's uber successful, but it's not because I don't know how. It's not
Mhm.
because I don't have the knowledge or the skill. It's more so like at some point you just gotta things gotta run their course. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's like, yo, I did a lot of partying, a lot of fucking around, a lot of messing with women, a lot of dealing in substances, a lot of staying up late. Lot, that's not all this stuff is good. I also helped a lot of people. I put my career on the back burner so that I could make sure other people was good and so on and so forth. Like the things happen when they're supposed to. So for me personally, I can't speak for anybody else, obviously, but for me, I don't necessarily feel like I'm not where I want to be. It's just luckily, there's always more for me to strive for, to attain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'd be scared the day that I was content. Where I was like, I don't need to do nothing. I don't desire to do nothing. It's like at that point, what you even alive for?
Yeah, yeah. How do you fit your goals outside of comedy, like marriage? How do you fit that into your life to make sure that you will find time for something like that, or like like get a mansion or something like that? Like, how do you fit your outside goals that have nothing to do with comedy? How do you make time for that when we know being a comedian is very like a hustle and grind job?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you the right way to do it, even though you didn't ask me the right way. You asked my way. But for me, all of it, is together. You know what I'm saying? Like, luckily, I enjoy what I do. So it's like, I don't feel like I gotta move what I do out the way to make room for dreams of, I don't know, retirement, wife, kids, grandkids, or anything like that. Like, this is what I enjoy doing. So like, if I find myself in a space where I want to do something different, then I'll be looking to do that. Like when I was in Detroit, when I first started comedy, it's not like, I just couldn't wait to get out of Detroit. I just left when I felt it was time. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So like, let's just say, adding to the portfolio of Ron Taylor achievements or things or whatever, like they'll come as they come. Now I will say, I spent so much time, really going hard in the paint in my 20s that yeah, now it is time to, it's been time for me to realize like, yo, uh, time is ticking. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, like you didn't waste it, but you definitely didn't save no years to do nothing else. Like
Yeah.
I'll be I'll be 40 in a fewer amount of years than I've been doing comedy. You know what I'm saying? Which sounds, weird, but it's like I put it to you like this. I'll be 40 in 8 years, which is two
Hmm.
years short of a decade, sure. But 4 years ago was 2020. So that's just 2020 ago two times. Like I still feel like we in 2019. So to
Yeah.
like go through another pandemic and then or two pandemics and then I'm 40, like that shit could happen in what would feel like a month, but anyway, I'm getting into weird numbers. But the point is, like all the things that I want to do, I'm looking to do them now. Or do them now. I'm taking things more seriously, not because like I have to or anything like that, but because this is the time for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I can relate. In my 20s, I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do, still being kind of scared, putting one foot in, putting one foot out. Now that I'm 33, is kind of you looking at life a little bit differently. I'm a lot younger and comedian years than you, but you still look at things like, all right, what are we doing now? Like
Hmm.
I don't have time to waste, I guess you should say, because tomorrow's not promised and you only got one life. So that's kind of how I'm looking at things now.
Yeah, man. And that's why I can't be too, I can't be like bent out of shape about how I spent my 20s, man. Like
Yeah.
I don't have too many at the very least regrets. Like, if you have I feel if you got a good heart, good intentions, and doing the best you can to like do things that you believe to be right, you'll be okay. It's like it's not like I was going around screwing people over or trying to screw myself over. Like, I did the best I could with the information I had, and I'm always looking to do better. I mean, what could a person ask out of a person other than that? You know?
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that because I came to the show late, I was actually coming from a show in Santa Barbara, and you were the first person that I saw. And one of the things that I noticed, I always tell comedians this, like your look on stage can keep people interested in your jokes, and I feel like you have a very like distinct look on stage. Like, first of all, how are we
Mhm.
like how long do we take to pick the fro every day? Like, is it just a wake up
Man.
and go situation?
No, I wish that'd be nice. That'd be real easy. I wouldn't be late everywhere if that was the case. But I tell you, in short, with the what they call it, hair grade that I have, essentially it's just got to be wet. Meaning I got to either have just gotten out the shower or normally I walk around with not walk around, but I'll have near me a spray bottle of water, and that's just to loosen it up, and then pat it. and then I go about my business. For the most part, I can get it done in like 10 minutes or less. But there are times when I guess what they call it, a bad hair day, where shit, it might take me 30 minutes. But I'm so used to it at this point, I don't even think nothing about it. I'll tell you what, this arm, I don't know what muscle it is, but one of these muscles is strong as hell, man. 'Cause to do this for 30 minutes, like that's a workout.
Man, when I seen you, bro, like you just kind of like stopped me in my tracks. Like I had never been to the belly room before, but it was super loud in there, just the way you were killing
Oh
it.
yeah.
Um
Oh,
how
hey, right on.
how do you write? Like what is your writing process? Because it was like not okay, so I'm from Columbus. We don't have as much good talent as you guys have out in LA. So I'm not as used to
Mm,
seeing like a comic get so many laughs per minute unless they're like regularly on the road, which you are. But
mm.
I'm just not used to seeing that. So like, what is like your writing style that you got it up to that level that you can get so many laughs in 1 minute?
It's a good question. My writing style is a bit different than I guess what it was when I first started. Like, I can't even put it like this. I should have a writing style slash write more, but just where my life has been the last, I don't know, 6, 7 years, it just kind of hasn't been that. It's more been just like, acquisitions of jokes. Like I'll just see something or experience something, and because I studied comedy so much early on, my brain kind of just processes information in joke form. So like I don't know what's an example. Well, I'll give you this much. I personally, and I don't know if anybody else agrees with this, but I personally have broken down comedy into this kind of equation, right? Comedy slash humor. Oh, snap. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
Comedy or humor is like a juxtaposition of what you feel and what you know, or what you know and what you feel for the most part. So it's like, why did the chicken cross the road? Well, to get to the other side. Okay, so you feel that somebody about to say something, I don't know, crazy, but you know that they said, whatever. That's a bad example, but it's just like some people call it subversion, which I'm not a big fan of, like classifying comedy as subversion, but it's like you feel this, you know this, even down to like if somebody tickles you, right? You feel like you being attacked, but you know you're in no danger. You start
Mhm.
laughing. So anything that's happening, that I'm witnessing, that I'm experiencing, that somebody's telling me, I kind of just process things in that manner. So at that point, it's like if I repeat it back, it's probably going to be in joke form already. So when you say how do I write jokes, really I just remember something I found funny, write down the bullet points so I don't forget it, take it on stage, and then just start working it out.
What is that process of working it out? Like, do you have like an initial rough draft and then you kind of remember, okay, they laughed here, let's keep this, let's change this. Like, what does that look like working it out on stage? Because that could be different for some people.
Yeah, well, even for me, it's different. It kind of depends on what joke it is or what's happening or, different things like that. But, what it used to be and what kind of works regardless as to what the joke is or where you got it from is, like you take the joke, you kind of do it on stage, you record your set, listen to your set, take out or take stuff that worked and remove stuff that didn't, and then you just keep feeling and fine tuning it that way until I don't know, until as good as you want it. But like, what does that look like? So for me, it's like, all right, what are you talking about? How true is it, and what's the point? So
Hmm.
that's what a joke, for the most part, has to me. I mean, that's what really anything should have, be it a story or a book. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it? Is this? What is it about? It's about this. What's the point? The point is this. So if let's say I'm gonna make a joke about doing podcasts via Zoom. All right, if that's my joke, is like, what are we talking about? Okay, podcast via Zoom. Uh, uh, that's what it is. What is it about? What am I getting ready to talk about? When your camera is smudged, what's the point? Whatever the fucking point is, you know what I'm saying? But like, if those three things, for the most part, are in it, then if I'm thinking about it at all, the joke will kind of form by itself. But like I
Hmm.
said, that's me. Now, what about people who do one-liners? What about people that tell stories? I mean, I don't know. I could sit here and theorize with you, but for me, it's just like, you know, what's the point? How true is it? Even if it's something that's like made up, is it true to your imagination or my imagination for that matter? Like, I could make stuff up, but is it true to my imagination, or am I making something up that I think people want to hear? So I just think about those things. That's my writing process. It's like, let me figure it out.
And nah, it is working. It is very successful. You're a very funny guy. Even the likes of Bill Burr likes working with you. How is it working with Bill Burr? Working in movies and stuff like that. How's that experience been?
Hey, Bill Burr's great, man. It's funny. A lot of people who I would watch as a younger person, to essentially be like, if not peers, be coworkers with him. Like just comrades. And it's always funny, like when, let's say, a celebrity or whatever, not just treats you nicely, but like treats you like anybody else or like a friend. Like I'm sitting around, I'm talking stuff to my comedian buddies, and Bill Burr comes up to you and he's like, shut up. What do you know? It's like, what are we, friends? But that's what it is. Like we're just we're just all coworkers. We all do the same thing. It's like, I might not hang out with LeBron James, but the worst guy in the NBA is still going to have that bond with LeBron James that I won't. Like, I'm not an NBA player. Like,
Yeah.
I could be the worst comedian in the world, but I am in the same club as Bill Burr, as Dave Chappelle, as Joe Rogan, as Chris Rock. Like, we're all in the club. So,
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. So you did release your comedy special, now streaming on Veeps. It's called Avalanche. Why did you name it Avalanche? I feel like I know why, but I don't know you, so I'm not going to even like take a guess. But like, why did you name it Avalanche?
you said, why did I call it Avalanche?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the truth, right? So, because I haven't told this to anybody, but I had shot it or whatever, and let's just say my mind was all over the place during that time. Just trying to get stuff done, and I only had one shoot. So it was a one shot shoot, and normally people would do more than one. It was New York, which like I had never really even done New York. So if I messed up, like it kind of was just messed up. It's like, well, you could take it back, but then that takes away from, okay, whatever. But I got through the show. The show was good. At least it was good enough. I didn't, long story short, I ended up seeing it and I was like, oh no, this was way better than it felt at the time. But the show was good, all that good stuff. But now I'm done with it, right? I shot it. I got through all the nerves, and now the post production stuff is taking place. It's like, hey, okay, we got to get some shots of this, and what about music, and what about credits, and it's just like, yo, I performed already. Enough with all these fucking questions. But anywho, long story short, they asked me what music that I want. I wanted this song called Avalanche by the Migos,
Mm-hmm.
which samples Papa Was a Rolling Stone by the Temptations. And it was like, no, you're fucking poor. We can't afford Migos music. It's like we can recreate it. And so they recreated the song, but then then they asked me, what do you want to call it? And I had like some weird title, like some of Dave Chappelle's like latest specials. And then it was like, Dave Chappelle can do that, you can't. I'm like, well, what the why are y'all asking me questions if the answer is no? So I was like, Avalanche. That's the name of the song, so whatever. But then I heard the song, it was too on the nose. I'm like, I can't steal the name of the song and the actual song. So I had them like make one like modification to it, to the song. And then I kept Avalanche because it's like, okay, yeah, avalanche, that means it's going down. And avalanche is snow. Snow is cold. It's so cold in the D. Bam. You know what I'm saying? Like it all fits. You ask me.
I really thought it was because, like, I mean, I've never heard an avalanche happen, but like, if I had to guess what it would sound like, that's what it sounds like when you're in the room. Like, it's very.
Hey, I
loud.
appreciate it, man.
It's very,
I
very.
tell you
loud.
what, that's now also what it means. I'm gonna add that to it. Why you call it avalanche? Because when I'm around, man, shit go down, dog. Ain't nobody safe.
No, really, man, it is. So how was it like when you got, I guess, the call or the meeting that you were doing this? And like, how was it knowing that you're working with Veeps? It's not your typical like, HBO or Netflix, or people might put it on YouTube. So how do you build the excitement for a platform that people might have heard or might not have heard?
Well, number one, I was happy to get the call because it was a different production company that hit me up to do the special, and they were shooting quite a few people's live performances. And the fact that the company that I was with was shooting live performances made it just wonderful when Veeps came along, because Veeps is not just about comedy, but it's about live performances, period. So, like got stuff like Alicia Keys on there and a bunch of different comedians. And, you go to Netflix and it's like, all right, am I getting ready to watch how Jeffrey Dahmer was an evil person, Teletubbies, or Chris Rock's new special? And it's great to have that variety, but when you go to Veeps, you know exactly what you go in there for. So that's always good. Like the first people to start streamlining things normally are like, the people who find that early success.
Mhm.
Like uh, Instagram was one of the first, what would you call it, social media sites that had streamlined why people go to other social media. Like oftentimes people go to social media like just to see a picture and see a little bit what somebody said. Instagram was like, that's all we do. All we do is pictures. You can say a little bit of something, so
Yeah.
it's great, man. It's great.
What's like next? Like what's once I always ask people this, like what's one stage that you like dream of doing that you haven't done yet?
Hmm. I can't say that I ever dream about doing a particular stage as much as getting to a point. And that point is simply this. One of my favorite comedians, Patrice O'Neal, he said something like this. And it's like, you got two forms of comics, if you will. You got the comic who goes to the people, and then you got the comic where the people come to you. And you could be on this side, or anywhere in the middle. But for the most part, I am still a comic who goes to the people. You know what I'm saying? Like I go to a city and I go to the club and I go to the areas where people like me. You take a Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart pops up wherever he's at, and the people come to him. So that's more so where I'm looking to get. Not just because I'm lazy, but that means that I have showcased myself to enough people in enough places over a long enough amount of time to where people like we want to go see Ron. Right now is like, oh my God, this guy, Ron, he was great. And they didn't know me before. They might be fans afterwards, but when people are like excited to come see me, they get babysitters and stuff like that. That's where I enjoy it. That's what I think about getting to. That could be on the Comedy Cellar stage, the Comedy Store stage. That could be at the Apollo in Harlem. That could be, at the O2. I don't care where it is, but if they come in to see me, then I know I did my job right.
How do you make that transition? Are you in that transition now, or are you figuring it out? How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, my thought, my belief as to how to do that is that, like I said, you continue to showcase yourself and your talent to enough people in enough places over time. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. I mean, hell, I would imagine that's how anybody would do that. It's essentially the recipe to getting famous. Just you want to get famous for something good, not for something silly or stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like okay, so social media. I'm not on there as much as I could be. Hell, I'm not on there as much as I should be. Well, doing that would be how you get to a place where people come to see you. I always bring up this guy because we got the same agent, but DC Young Fly, like he did the social media stuff. Now people go to see him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I started comedy, DC Young Fly was probably in jail somewhere. He might have still been in high school.
Yeah,
but he done started and took off because he did the work to get himself out there. I've been doing the work to, work on this craft and have fun with, girls and all that type of stuff. And, to each his own, you get there when you get there. I think, I think Steve Harvey is older than Eddie Murphy. If he not, let's just say he is. But Eddie Murphy got on in the late 70s, early 80s. Steve Harvey got on at the 2000s. So it's a 30-year gap between when they got on, but they still both got on. What was Steve Harvey doing in all that time? Was he wasting his life? I mean, only he would know that, but he was doing his stuff,
Yeah.
Can't run nobody else's race, at least in my eyes.
No, I agree. You definitely got to focus on your own journey. Well, I was actually out in LA, and there was a comic there that used to be in Columbus. He was like, he's like, yeah, I heard you guys got a lot of drama in Columbus. I was like, I wouldn't know nothing about it, brother. I wouldn't know that. He got real specific. He was like, well,
Yeah,
it's mainly
I never heard
black. He's like, it's mainly just the black comics. I'm like, again, I wouldn't know nothing about that, brother. I'm out here in LA right now. I'm not, you really do got to stay focused on your own stuff. How do you stay focused on your own stuff, but yet still show support to your colleagues in the business? Because those are people that
you know what?
look at.
Yeah. You know what? And this is just myself. Some stuff just straight up don't interest me. I can't even take no credit. I'm just so good at being able to dismiss the drama and stuff like that. But I see it you go online and you see comments, and let's say you put up a video. Heck, this podcast go up, and some people are like, man, that was so great. And then some people are like, man, that sucked. They both ugly. The stuff was theirs. Okay, now I don't know that person. It's very difficult for me to feel a certain type of way about a person I literally do like. I don't know if they trolling. I don't know if somebody put them up to this. I don't know if they alive. It's very hard for me to care about a person that I'm not even certain is a person. Same when it comes to drama. It's drama about what? I got friends and family who no longer here. You know what I'm saying? I got friends and family who have had babies. So I'm just going on both sides of the spectrum. We come out life and death. And this ain't got nothing to do with my career, the internet, none. I got way more important stuff to to deal with, and I don't even have enough time and like brain bandwidth to deal with all that the way I want to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
well, it's 6:17 here, and I ain't even ate today. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more concerned about that than did you hear what such and such said? Did you? Hey man,
Yep.
I got 5 chicken wings from 7-Eleven that's cold now. I'm thinking, am I gonna put them in the microwave or put them in the air fryer, brother? I got better stuff to think about, man.
Oh, all right. I saw that you hosted Blake Griffin's comedy show, and hear that he's trying to do comedy. Uh, is Blake Griffin funny?
Hmm.
I mean, I know we see him funny on TV, but is he funny with on stage behind the
Wow,
mic?
that's funny, man, because that was what feels like to me a long time ago. But I'll tell you what, man, he is. And I mean, I guess this ain't really a odd thing, but because of so many basketball players or so many NBA players, but a lot of those guys are funny, man. You know, they sit around each other. They're playing a game for millions of dollars. A lot of them went to like like well, I guess not so much anymore, but they go from high school to 1 year at college, and then they're making millions of dollars. Like, of course, they're not going to be the most mature people in the world. Not saying that humor comes from immaturity, but no, man, like a lot of those guys are funny. Like, just a big part of humor is having good timing. When you play a sport, you kind of you got to pay attention to stuff like timing. So no, Blake is funny. His brother Taylor is funny. You know what I'm saying? He got a brother named Taylor. He's funny. So no, those are good guys, man. They really helped, or at least Blake really helped a lot of people when he was in Detroit. Him, who was on the team back there? Him, Reggie Jackson, who's my man. Uh, 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 Andre Drummond. So it's cool guys.
That's good, man. That's good. As we start to wrap this up here, man, I always end with these three questions. Ron, what piece of motivation could you give to anybody or words of encouragement that are listening to this?
Hmm. Motivational words of encouragement. Normally I like to try to get this absolutely as correct as possible, but I mean, we'd be sitting here for another 20 minutes if I tried to do that. Uh, you know what? No, people don't like that because one of my favorites is God don't make no mistakes. But then people start talking about what about? Okay, fine, whatever. I don't know what God you serve, but sure. Uh, it's kind of like I said this a little bit earlier, man, and it's like, if you are doing the best you can with what you got, while also actively trying to get better, I really don't think anybody can ask anything else of you. So whatever it is that you're doing, like make certain that at the very least try. If you fail at doing the best you can with what you got, that's cool. People fail. Players fuck up, but try to do the best you can with what you got and actively try to get better. Like, anybody complain to you after that, you can tell them to climb a tree, dog. So that go with relationships, your career, whatever. Like, do the best you can with what you got and try to actively get better. That's my advice.
Bing bong.
Then my words of wisdom.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore for comedy?
Oh boy. Okay. So here's the deal.
Who's
there's
on it
a
today?
multitude. There's a multitude of ways to answer that question, right? There's most influential. There's the funniest. There's one's favorite, right? And there's four heads on Mount Rushmore, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Without even getting into all those different ones. Like I said, there's most influential in comedy, the funniest in comedy, most influential to me, my favorite, or if I'm on a desert island, what four do I want to have? So there's a bunch of ways to answer that question, but without even thinking too deeply into it, I'm gonna say Patrice O'Neal, Burning Mac, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock.
Okay,
You
nothing wrong with
know,
that.
there's a lot of people I left off. You know, there's Louis C.K., there's Richard Pryor, there's Paul Mooney, but it's like, hey man, I only got four, so I and realistically, I might take out one of the people I said and put a white dude in there just to switch it up. But
Yeah.
I guess that's my mouth for. That's why I don't answer that question often, man. It's like, what were you even talking about, brother? Like, it's just unfair, man. It's like, what you want me to cut off? You want me to cut off your right eye or your left eye? It's like, I don't know, man. I'd rather have them both, but just take one.
Ron, tell people why they should listen to comedians in bed.
Hey, man, because this is a good show. You all should listen to Comedians in Bed, man, because this is a nice podcast because I enjoy podcasts where one don't necessarily have to be funny. Now, granted, I ain't seen all your episodes, so maybe I've been the most boring episode that you have had. But it's nice to like get comedians' perspective without the necessity to be on. I feel like personally, not only can you laugh, but you can get like some insight into like a completely different world. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if every time Beyonce talked, she was singing. You probably get tired of that. Like, sometimes I just want to hear Beyonce just talk. So this is a wonderful platform, man, and I appreciate you for having me on, being able to talk my stuff and all that good stuff. So I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it, Ron. Tell people where they can find you at, man.
Hey, man, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, now called X, TikTok, my not Instagram, my Gmail, my Cash App, and Venmo, and PayPal. All of that is at Comedian Ron T. Hell, you can Google it. You put the at sign, Comedian RONT. I'll pop right up. Whatever your favorite site is, I'm on there.
There we go, man. If you want to catch next week's episode, be sure to subscribe. You can catch us on the YouTube channel. We drop live at 11 a.m. Eastern time every Tuesday. My YouTube channel, TYE Comedy. You can also follow us on IG at Comedians in Bed Podcast, man. We like to thank Ron for coming on again. If he's in a city near you, look him up and check him out. I promise you it will be money well spent. Ron, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show here today. We'll see you guys next week.
Oh, yeah.